Om Sri Mata Saranam Mama. Om Sri Aurobindo Saranam Mama. Supreme Lord, Eternal Truth, let us obey Thee alone and live according to truth. Very good morning. Welcome to everyone. Now we are going to focus on some important thing on Sri Aurobindo's retirement and work. Retirement means not the retirement from job. Here is retirement from the external world. On 24th November 1926, we know it is a day of victory when he was elevated to the overhead consciousness, Sri Krishna consciousness. And from that day onwards, Sri Aurobindo went into seclusion for the intense sadhana. That is, we have thought of this is his retirement and how his work was going on. In Overmind Consciousness, something is written in Savitri Sri Aurobindo's written. He scanned the secrets of the overmind. He bore the rapture of the oversoul, a borderer of the empire of the sun, attuned to the supernal harmonies. Now, overmind and supermind, he was standing on a borderer of the empire of the sun, attuned to the supernal harmonies. What change was within him, so that change could not be accommodated, that could not be bore by these ordinary people or the people who are having in the semi-consciousness or not developed in full consciousness. So that's Sri Aurobindo retired into the seclusion. His finite parts approached their absolutes. His actions framed the movements of the gods. His reign took up the wheels of the cosmic force. His will took up the reins of the cosmic force. His will, as we know, the mother. For when he retired and come into the seclusion, the reign of the cosmic force, entire world, entire universe, this reign was with the hands of the mother. And from that day onwards, from overmind, the supramental consciousness, the quest for the truth consciousness, supreme discovery started. That's what Sri Aurobindo writes. There is a consciousness mind can't touch, its speech can't act, not utter, or its thought reveal. From the then period, Sri Aurobindo Ashram was officially founded under the mother's direction and guidance. Let us focus something on the retirement and work of Sri Aurobindo. He shares, Sri Aurobindo himself shares, yet in his retirement, Sri Aurobindo kept a close watch on all that was happening in the world in India. He had a very close watch. Now itself we see this is the free India where we are standing. From 1914, Sri Aurobindo could be able to see India has been freed. It has got its true freedom. It has got its freedom, but true freedom was hunted and overdown yet to come. On 26th, like day of today, we are celebrating the Republic Day. We got our constitution. We are accepting, saluting our revered leaders and these soldiers, heroes. Still then we feel we are actually not freed from the clouds of bondage, from the clouds of ignorance, from the clouds of darkness. We are bounded, we are encaged, yet to be freed. Yet our true freedom is awaited, but we don't know. Still then we flag up here and there, we feel we are freed. Then Sri Aurobindo kept watch what is the happening in world and India. He shares the mother's work of guiding the disciples mainly by writing letters, packed with inner help and out power. Mother helps, guides with the inner, packed with inner help and power to the disciples, explaining their difficulties and their experiences, what the people, the disciples, the sadhaks are facing, directing them, giving them knowledge. In these letters, Sri Aurobindo, one disciple's complaint for the delay, Sri Aurobindo writes, You don't realize that I have to spend 12 hours over ordinary correspondence, numerous reports, etc. More than 12 years writing letters, correspondences. I work 3 hours in the afternoon and the whole night up to 6 o'clock morning over these writing letters. So your letter must be given. Don't be impatient, because impatience is not the signs of the good sign for the integral yoga sadhakas. Hundreds of these letters were written, they were published. 3 large volumes in centenary edition of centenary edition of Sri Aurobindo's works came out. Small selection for you, Sri Aurobindo writes, and he's explaining few terms. In one, he explains the different shades of the meaning of the words which have been used in synonymous. When we are going to discuss about his works after retirement, few works what was going on in Sri Aurobindo's writings, we are going to emphasize, we want to trace upon, we have to give the say light on it, throw light on it. Faith, number one is faith. Faith is a feeling in the whole being. Faith is a feeling in the whole being. Belief, next one. Belief is a mental. Confidence means the trust in a person or in the divine, or a feeling of surety about the result of one's seeking and endeavor. 3 things he speaks of. One is faith, another is belief, another number 3 is confidence. Faith is a feeling of in the whole being. Faith in the feeling in the whole being. Second one, belief, that we know that belief is mental. And number 3, confidence, means trust in person or in the divine, trust in the person or in the divine, or feeling of surety, feeling of surety about the result of one's seeking and endeavor. Next, in another gives the guidance to one of the difficult and sure method of knowing what is good for us. He is giving the guidance in the following lines. In moments of trial, faith in the divine protection and the call for that protection in the trial. In moments of trial, faith in the divine protection and the call for that protection. At all times, the faith that what is divine wills is the best. Divine wills is the best. That faith must be there. It is then coming to the next phase. It is what turns you towards the divine that must be accepted as good for you. That the things which are turning us towards the divine, that helps us to endeavor and to go in the path of the divine, that is good for us. All is bad for you that turns you away from the divine. 2 things. Those are helping us to turn towards the good divine, that is good. That is taking away from the things that is taking away from the divine, these are bad. Sri Aurobindo in one quotation, one quotes on divine grace. It is not the grace, it is not the divine who made man wicked. It is the man who himself made himself wicked by turning away from the divine. So by turning away from the divine, man has come to be wicked. That is not the divine who made man wicked. Like this, something that is turning towards the divine, that is good. Something keeping you away or taking you away, diverting from the divine, that is bad. That is bad. Another time, Sri Aurobindo speaks of prayer should be full of confidence. We are prayer. We know prayer, a master act, a king idea, can link man's strength to a transcendent force. Then if that man's strength is linked to the transcendent force by the 3 activities, one is prayer, a master act, and a king idea, then what will be the result, what will be the output? Then miracle is made the common room. Then next one, a lonely thought becomes the omniscient. Naturally, we are praying, we are doing something, we are leading a spiritual life. These things must be taken care of if we are doing and getting the proper result. Naturally, it is felt, it is thought that it is sure that we are leading the spiritual life and we are pursuing it. Prayer should be full of confidence without sorrow or lamenting. there must be confidence. So initially he has derived the terms faith, belief and confidence. Prayer should be full of confidence, not belief nor second thing what you wanted to tell. This is not belief or faith, it must be the full of confidence. Without sorrow or lamenting, don't sorrow, don't lamenting. But when you go and pray, you see many of people, they will be crying outwardly, tears will be coming out, or inside there will be emotions, complete patch of emotion that will be packing our emotion, that will be full of emotions. But actually it should be without sorrow or lamenting. One of the loveliest is the single sentence letter he has written. A sincere heart is worth all the extraordinary powers in the world. A sincere heart, the heart that is sincere, 100% sincere, there is no impurity, there is no litigation. That sincere heart is worth all the extraordinary powers in the world. It is better than anything, or it equals with the most essential, the most extraordinary power in the world. Next, he is giving on character building. The inner progress is touches on one line. To be able to be regular in the is a great force. To be able to be regular. Regularity is lacking. To be able to be regular is a great force. One becomes master of one's time and one's movements. It should be, one must be regular. Regularity, punctuality, it counts more and more. It has most significant place in the process of sadhana, in this integral yoga. Only those who sympathize can help. Very beautiful line. Only those who sympathize can help. Surely, also, one should be able to see the faults of others without hatred. Hatred injures both parties, it helps not. Don't hate others. Hatred hurts both parties, not one. So we must be detached from hatred. We should never hate anybody. And in this penetrating and deep affirmations, Aurobindo speaks of sacrifice depends on the inner attitude. Sacrifice depends on the inner attitude, nothing externality in it. Sacrifice only for the sake of the divine, not for any human or for any other. See, if you are sacrificing, this sacrifice must be in the favor of the divine. And divine, because we will sacrifice for the divine, because divine has done the supreme sacrifice, the divine sacrifice for us. Sacrifice depends on the inner attitude. If one has nothing outward to sacrifice, one has always oneself to give. He has to give himself, because everything is up. So we have to accept divine slavery. We have to sacrifice for the sake of the divine. We have to be entirely his divines. There are lots of harmonious, extremely witty letters from we have seen. The great harmonist we have seen his humor also. Sense of humor, it is the salt of existence. Without it, the world could have got utterly out of balance. So humor, the sense of humor is absolutely necessary. It is the salt of existence. It is unbalanced enough already and rushed to blazes long ago. So there is a sense of humor in his writing. Sri Aurobindo writes, remain firm through the darkness. If the darkness is coming, that because for us the darkness is there. Another Psalm Aurobindo has quoted, where there is stupidity, there is divinity. Where there is divinity, there is stupidity. Remain firm through the darkness. The light is there, it will conquer. Darkness will be conquered by light. Darkness is not the opposite of light, it is all the absence of light. Sri Aurobindo gave darshan in the 4 times a year in this darshan days. Now there he said to keep himself out of the type of his work, because mother was taking care of all. This was really his work. He was staying there. He was taking care. He was guiding. He was driving. He was doing sadhana. He was trying to descend the supramental force into the world, so that this transformation process will continue and man will be transformed and perfected. This was his ambition. For this he came down. Thank you. Vande Mataram.